Hey everyone, just one quick thing before we get started here. If you guys who are here, and I'll say this again later, if you could send a chat directly to us, you don't need to send it to everyone in the meeting, but if you could just send us a quick chat of what club and team you're with, that would be fantastic, just so we can keep track of everyone who's here. We appreciate it. We'll get started in about 5 minutes. Thanks, guys.
Por allá, la vi hace como 2 minutos. ¿Seguro que es ella? Sí, hermana, te juro que sí. Muy bien, si se pone loca la dama. Como digas. Oye, ven acá. Carajo, ¿qué estás haciendo?
Hey everyone, please make sure we are muted. That would be fantastic. Thank you very much.
Me.
Hey everyone. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started here. 7 o'clock. Hopefully this isn't going to take too long. We hope it's going to take about 30 minutes. So make it short and sweet. Cover some ground with you guys and then let y'all get out of here. So I'm Daniel Cochran. I'm competitions manager here with Arizona Soccer and be serving as your tournament director for President's Cup. This is Emily Lynch, competitions manager as well. Same thing for State Cup. And Luis Salcedo, he's our senior director of operations here. So we're going to be your competitions team. Austin Gaylor, who's also on the competitions team, is also on the call here. You can see him up there, hopefully. And so we're just going to go through a couple things and rules, check-in procedures, knockout rounds, what happens if you win President's Cup, and then we're going to open the floor up for some questions, and that'll be that. If you weren't here in the beginning, please send us what team you were with. Again, you can send those directly to us in a team chat. You don't need to send those to everyone. So if you could send those to us in the chat, that would be fantastic, just so we can keep track of everyone, and we'll get this thing going.
I don't know, we're recording.
Yeah, so we are recording, and anybody who's not here is going to be getting this tomorrow. So we're going to send out the recording and as well as any notes that need to be covered. And then we'll move on from here. We're really excited to kick things off on Friday night, and we're excited to have a great month of soccer. So again, please stay muted during this. If you have any questions, please send those into the chat. Emily is looking over the chat here, so we'll make sure to catch any questions. Do your best to make sure you save your questions for the end. We're probably going to answer a lot of them here, but if we don't, then we can cover those at the end. So yeah, so we're going to get started right here. We can get the screen shared. All right, so first thing we're going to start off with is the rules. Again, guys, make sure that you read over and are familiar with the rules, both coaches, TMs. Make sure your parents are familiar with the rules too. That might help everyone out as we go through these. So we're going to talk about the rules to start out with. First things first, coach credentials, and this is going to go for anybody who's on the sideline, whether that's a coach, a TM, team official, club admin, DOC. Everybody has to have their credentials, their ASA USC soccer membership pass. Those have to be worn around your neck. We will provide lanyards at the competition. So if you don't have one, then we will have one of those for you, but everybody has to have their pass around their neck. Anybody who's on the sideline has to be on the game card. If you have a sub coach or anything like that, they can be written in, but they have to be written in when the team is checking in. They also have to make sure they have their credentials. For clubs with multiple branches, those sub coaches have to be credentialed with your branch. Okay, so make sure if you have anybody filling in for you that they're written in on the game card during check-in. And you can have up to 4 team officials on the sideline, and DOCs count towards that number. Okay. Moving along here, jerseys are pretty straightforward. They all have to be identical. If they have minor variations, then just make sure they're approved by tournament staff, and that's ASA staff. No duplicate jersey numbers, and all numbers have to be permanently on the jersey. No tape will be allowed on the jerseys. Okay, so one thing that our registrar wants us to mention to you is that with the roster freeze, you are not able to go in and update any jersey numbers. So if you check your roster and jersey numbers have changed, we need you to send those to Pres Cup jersey numbers at azyouthsoccer.org, and we will put that in the chat at the end. Okay, Pres Cup jersey numbers at azyouthsoccer.org. And please specify your division, that's silver or gold, along with your team name, please. Thank you very much. So just make sure the kits are the same and jersey numbers are permanently on them, okay? Moving along here. Substitutions are super straightforward with President's Cup. They are unlimited and may be made during any stoppage of play, okay? And as long as, sorry about that, as long as the referee signals your player onto the field, then they are good to go and be brought on, okay? So super straightforward with the substitutions there. If we are so lucky as to have some weather-related issues, hold on, we're gonna stop 1 second with a question. What do we got?
Yep, so those straps, the question is, what about straps over socks? Same color as socks, also undershirts or leggings. So the straps do have to be the same color as the socks. That is a overall USYS rule that we're just kind of sticking with their guidelines. As for having an undershirt, if the player does want to wear, say, an Under Armour under their jersey, it does have to be the same color as the jersey. Leggings, a little bit less significant on that side. I mean, most players are going to wear black leggings. They're wearing them under white shorts. It's usually not a big deal, but it is up to the discretion of the referee. But short shirts and straps over socks do need to be the same color.
Cool, thanks Emily. Substitution straightforward. Okay, back to weather. So if we have weather delays or delays for any reason, we do have the ability to shorten matches. Go check out that 11.4.7.2 for what matches can be shortened to and how we can squeeze those games in. If we do have any games that are suspended in the middle of the game, if we get to 10 minutes into the second half, that game will be deemed official. Again, under your weather / postponed games, 11.4, 11.5, you'll see how we'll move forward on the many different potential possibilities that we have of delaying or postponing a game. But again, we don't anticipate many, but if we get to that point, just be aware that if we get 10 minutes into the second half, then that game will be official. Spectators, so your lovely parents that we all love. So they have to sit on the sideline and make sure that they sit where they are supposed to, as shown in Appendix B of the President's Cup rules. And remember that coaches, you are responsible for your spectators' behavior at all times. And that's before, during, and after the match. So you have to answer to those behaviors. So let's make sure that our parents are on our best behavior at all time, sitting where they're supposed to be. And I think that's going to make everyone's lives a lot easier. All right. Red cards and suspensions. So first of all, if your players need to be serving a suspension, they must check in and inform the tournament staff they are serving a suspension when the rest of the team is checked in. So they also need to pick up and fill out a suspension fulfillment form and have that signed by the match official. Something that's a little different with the tournament than our league play is players who are serving suspensions cannot sit with the team.
We do have a question that says seating by us coaches.
Yeah, so if you look at the diagram in Appendix B, it's just like our league play where we sit. So everyone should be used to that. If you're a PCJSL team or any other outside team, then make sure you look at our rules. Appendix B is the second to last page of our rules. So scroll on down there and check that out. And they're just sitting right next to you and not right next to the technical area. All right, so suspensions, again, and red cards. Again, it matches up with our league play. Anyone involved with a fight is going to be suspended immediately, potentially removed from the competition. And we do have a suspension table, so you can check that out for an idea of what kind of suspension will need to be served based on the different red cards given.
So we have another question about where parents and teams are sitting. So teams will always be sitting with their parents on the same side. If you are the home team, you will always be on the south or east side of the field. Away teams will always be north or west.
Cool. All right. For protests and appeals, if you're going to protest a game, you must let ASA staff know verbally before you leave the game site. And all official protests must be submitted via GotSport within 2 hours of the completion of the game. And that includes the fees paid. Remember, fees are non-refundable. I will call a committee for all protests and we'll review all information and get what we need to make sure we have a decision that makes sense for us. And also, if you want to appeal that decision, then another committee will be called and we'll review everything as well. But that appeal has to be submitted within 2 hours of the written notice of decision for the protest.
We had another question about the seating, home or away, east, west
Yeah, I
side.
covered.
Got it?
Someone sent it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're going to talk about check-in procedures now. So this is very important that everybody follows these procedures so everything goes smooth. You're at your game on time. We keep everything rolling. So the first thing that you need to know is that we will have game cards. We will have those at your specific check-in location that we'll get to in just a second. And you have to come check in at least 30 minutes prior to kickoff. At least 30 minutes prior. We recommend you coming and checking in as early as you possibly can, but at least 30 minutes before. You have to have at least 7 players dressed, fully ready to play to come check in, and you have to bring your player passes. That's player passes and your coach credentials, okay? And anybody who's going to be on the sideline. So make sure all that's brought to check-in at least 30 minutes before. We'll have game cards. I can't stress enough how much we recommend getting there 30 minutes before your game time. Okay, and we do have specific locations for check-in at each venue. So Copper Sky, the stars are going to be where you're checking at. Fields 1 through 4 will be at this yellow star. Fields 5 through 8 will be here. For Santos, pretty straightforward. We're going to be in between fields 2 and 3.
Can you actually go back a little bit? I'm gonna take some capture screens of that.
Sorry, quick question. Could we get a copy of all this info?
Yes, we're going to send this out tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have a question regarding check-in and games. How many games for each team? That depends on your group. You play everybody in your group once. So if you have 3 teams in your group, you have 2 group play games. If you have 4 teams, you have 3, and so on. You have to check in before each game. If that doesn't answer, if that doesn't answer your question, I think that does. So let us know. Moving along here to reach 11 check-in. So fields, we're gonna be off field 1 for the most part, but fields 1 through 4 are gonna be right here.
We had a question if we'll be sending out these field maps or if they're on the website. We will include this entire presentation in a link, as well as we can post these on the website.
Yep. So 5 through 7 is gonna be right here. And guys, at reach, especially on this half, these are just gonna be general locations. We might move based on if we only have fields on 6 and 7, then we'll only be between 6 and 7. So these are just gonna be your general areas here at reach. 8 through 10 gonna be between these groups of fields. And on the other half, it's pretty straightforward. It's gonna be right in the middle of the 4 fields, 11 through 14, and 15 through 18. All right, so knockout rounds and consolation games. So these are going to be your dates for the semis and finals. So those should be up now. If you look on the game schedules, the same place you see your team schedules at the very bottom for each league, each division will have the schedules. Keep in mind, those are tentative at this time. We're working on finalizing those, and those will be finalized by the end of the week. So when you check in on Friday, those will be set in stone there. So one thing to remind, we do guarantee 3 games in President's Cup. So those groups of 3 where the teams will see 2 games of group play will see consolation games afterwards to get those 3rd games. Far West Regionals, so 13 through 19U gold winners will advance on to the Far West Regionals. Those are going to be here in Phoenix at Reach 11. So we're looking forward to that, June 15th through 19th. Looking forward to being able to host there. So we're going to open up for questions here in 1 second. One thing I do want to mention that the merchandise will not be sold on location during group play. So all that will be sold online. On our website, under the tab for the President's Cup is a link to the store. So you'll be able to find stuff there. 13U, I would have to check. I don't remember off the top of my head. So those, but again, the formatting of the tournaments or the knockout stages is correct on the game schedule. So it's just the locations and times that are not set in stone.
We just asked if there's a camera rental on site. No, we don't
No.
have live streaming or videotaping services on site.
Yes, all divisions of brackets are set for semis and finals. Not all divisions will have semis. If there's one group, then we're only going to have a final. So stop that, bring that back to us. The email for roster numbers. I'm going to put this in the chat to everyone right now. Emily, will you do that? Yes. Emily is going to put this in the chat to everyone. It's Pres Cup jersey numbers at azsoccer.org. Christy, yes. So they will check in with the team, but they do not sit in the technical area. They'll sit with parents and spectators.
Okay, I just put that President's Cup jersey numbers email in that chat. No.
Let's see. Michelle, yeah, finals are gonna be on the 30th. That's correct.
Right now, yes, right now, regarding regional wild cards, only first place team would be advancing. We will talk to teams if opportunities open up for wild cards. The good thing is, you know, the tournament is being hosted in Phoenix, so you know, if there's a last minute cancellation or somebody withdraws early enough, then we'll find out if we have wild cards. But we do not have any at this point. Again, we'll reach out to any teams that are eligible, and you know, as we get closer to the finals, we'll let you know.
Christy, to answer your question about red card suspensions, they will check in with the team stating that they're serving a suspension. We will go ahead and give them that suspension fulfillment form, to which they will get signed by the referee. But they are not allowed to sit within the technical area, which includes the bench. So yes, they will have to be sitting on the opposite side with, or same sideline, but with the parents and spectators.
Players have to go to check-in. Yes, every player has to go to check-in. So as I mentioned, you have to have 7 for the team to go get checked in. If you come with 7, then every player who shows up after that has to come check in, and they have to bring their player card as well. So again, we recommend everybody being there on time. The email address, those are for if you have had jersey number changes since rosters have been updated. Since they're frozen, we cannot change any numbers that are on there. So we have to go in and do that on our end. So you need to send any jersey number updates that you have to that address. The schedule is going to be finalized for the knockout rounds by the end of the week. So you can expect that by the end of the day on Friday. Just a couple minor details to finalize, and then we'll have those times and locations finalized.
Real quick, we have our referee administrator, Todd Sergi, on this call as well. I believe he wanted to touch on a substitution rule real quick.
Yeah, hey, thank you, Emily. Good evening, everyone. Just a couple things. First of all, we're really excited about the state championships beginning next month. It's a tremendous opportunity for our referees as well as the top teams in our state. In regards to substitution, as Daniel mentioned, they are unlimited at any stoppage with the permission of the referee. However, to conform with the laws of the game as well as the U.S. Youth Protocol, the field player must leave the field before the substitute enters. That's not something we've done consistently throughout leagues, but it is something we're going to work to be consistent with during the state championships. So again, the field player on a substitution will get permission from the referee. They must leave the field before the substitute can enter. Secondly, if I could also touch on seating, this is something that is really important. It's helped us curb referee abuse. We just ask for your help in partnering with us in the state to ensure your parents are properly seated prior to the match. It goes a long way in starting the match on time, as well as protecting predominantly our youth referees, but our referees and curbing referee abuse. I also know there was a question in the chat regarding casts. All I can say is that we have allowed casts. It's predominantly up to the referee, provided they feel that the cast is not dangerous in any manner. That probably doesn't give you the comfort level you're looking for. So what I would suggest is an ace bandage around the hard cast, possibly bubble wrap. Those are things that you can do to kind of soften it. But we have allowed casts. If there's questions specific to a cast or a knee brace, if you aren't getting the answer you want, you can please always reach out to me. I will have a team on site at all the venues. We'll be mentoring and developing over the course of the state championship. So we can obviously give an opinion and give some insight should that problem exist. All right. Thanks, everyone.
Yeah, thanks, Todd. And I know that CVS, Walgreens, places like that will carry cast covers, like a piece of 1/2-inch foam, I think is a standard across the industry. So try and look out for something like that. But yeah, I think you'll be able to tell at home whether the cover for your cast is dangerous or not. So
Yeah, a wrap of an ace bandage works great as well. You can put a ace bandage over it. Again, it's just to, soften it to some degree.
definitely. Thank you, Tom.
You bet. Thanks, guys.
Okay, Lauren, so to answer your question, Lauren has a coach who cannot be there and the assistant coach can't be there either. So as I stated, y'all can write in a coach who is going to be there. They have to be credentialed through your club and through Arizona Soccer, USU Soccer. So they can be there to fill in for your guys. They have to be there at check-in to write their name in so we can certify them and make sure that they're who they are and actually certified, and we can write them in there. So credentials, where do we pick up credentials? Everybody should have those
Yeah,
already.
again, it's either your coach's pass, then you're gonna put on a lanyard and hang on your neck throughout the games. So,
It's typically associated with your player passes. You usually have it on the same ring.
So players with the same number need to be updated on the roster. If their number, so I can answer this question one of two ways depending on how you need it. Two players can't have the same number, so that will need to be updated. But if a player has not changed their number since league play, then that will not need to be updated. Yes. Yeah, all U11s will have finals on 4/23 at Bleach. James, to answer your question, for subs, they can exit the field at the closest point to them. They don't have to go directly to the technical area. You'll need to bring your own shade tents for teams. I believe venues have benches available.
yeah.
No, venues do not have benches available, so bring your own.
Yes, to the individual that asked if player coach passes or credentials, that is correct. So the one that was issued by your registrar and cleared through ASA, those are your credentials. And that's what you'll have to wear around your neck.
Let's see. Allison, go ahead and shoot us an email again, if there is for everyone as well, for those who have any questions that can be resolved, just a quick email or something. President's Cup at azyouthsoccer.org will be a great place for you to contact us.
Dana, it looks like she has a question regarding the tape on the socks.
Yeah.
So-
Can you, I can't find your D in here, so can you clarify for me?
Yeah, so the laws of the game are very specific. And again, this is one of the things we've not, speaking on the referee side, have done a great job of being consistent. But if we're putting tape or shin guard straps on the sock, they have to be the same color as a sock. So if you have a red sock, you need to have a red shin guard strap, not a black one or a white one. I will say that if you have a two-colored sock, red with white stripes or blue with white stripes, we would allow for grace to have a blue or a white one. But if the sock is predominantly one color, the tape or the shin guard strap must match that sock. That's just, we're trying to prepare our referees and our teams for advancing to the national champ or regional championships and hopefully to the national championships, where this is simply the expectation. So hopefully that answers your question.
Allison, for your jersey question, let's see here, where did my paper go? Gosh, I just said,
So last week, I sent you an email because I had lots of time last week. I, worked full time and had a weekend to go figure out how to do whatever I needed to do. And I got a response back from league office, Austin, Daniel, and Emily that said, you don't have a rule on uniforms. And then tonight you're saying I need to get permanent numbers. Like, how do I do that when I don't get home until 7 o'clock at night?
Allison, so in terms of matching,
From you that says that you don't have a rule.
so jerseys, in our rules, they have to be identical. But we can approve if they are not exactly right, then you need to come to tournament staff and make sure that they look okay to us.
Okay, I mean, I have players that ordered their uniform from Soccer Loco or wherever Phoenix Rising had, and they ordered it this summer. They still don't have it. One uniform went to like Texas or something, and it's crazy, but there's supply issues and I don't know what to do.
Right, and we understand that. And if the jerseys are you referring to them being the previous year's style?
There's a few that are previous style, and then there's some that are just wearing white t-shirts and black t-shirts. I don't know what else to do. I would have not paid $1,000 of my players' money if I knew that something happened, and I possibly could have driven all over the valley trying to get people's jerseys. But
I mean, Allison, you can write your numbers on with the Sharpie. That's not going to fall off during a game, and that's what we're mostly worried about there. So,
my point is that I asked the question and I was told by you guys that there wasn't a rule, so
Sure.
it's kind of hard. Okay, thank you.
I have a question about cupping armbands on legs. Is that an issue or does it depend on the referee?
Hey, Todd, can you talk about captain's armbands around socks?
As long as they're the same color as the sock, they can wear them on their sock. It's perfectly fine. Ideally, if they don't match, in other words, if you have a yellow armband on a red sock, they put the yellow armband on their shoulder or arm. But if the captain's armband is the same color as the sock, with the exception of maybe the C for captain, I don't think we're gonna get too granular or lost in the weeds on that.
Dolores is on the call. Dolores, we have a question that Lori is asking. If you have more than 18 on your roster, what is the cutoff time to update game cards?
I don't have the specific rules in front of me, but do we have regarding game time rosters? Do they have to choose the 18 because the entire roster will come out? Because I don't think we're doing game day since we're going to be printing out the game cards, correct?
Usually a check-in is when they notify us which one players are not.
Correct. Yeah, so at check-in, you'll just have to notify us which 4 players aren't there.
And they'll just be crossed. So you'll have those 22 listed on your roster, which will reflect that on the game card. But at the time of check-in is when ASA staff will cross off the 4 players that will not be participating in the match. All right, the second question is, does the red card player have to be one of the 18 on the game card to count as their sit out? Todd, correct me if I'm wrong, but no, they do not have to be one of the 18.
That's correct. Because they technically wouldn't be eligible for the match. if they're serving a suspension. So I think as long as the referee is notified that they're there with the suspension fulfillment form, the referee can sign it, after the match and turn it back into staff, or if they have other matches they have to sit and fulfill, that will work.
Great, thank you, Todd.
Yep.
We do not have games on Easter weekend. No games on Easter weekend. The 12U US Youth Soccer does not offer a Far West Regional for 12, 11, or 12U.
They'll be participating in the Far West Region division. So there's no U12 division in President's Cup, but they will be able to participate in the Far West Regional with the State Cup teams as well. They usually do both teams.
Okay.
Or is it regional league? I'll double check that. Is that
How many players on the roster?
Oh, it's 22.
22 players can be on the roster.
18 can dress for a match.
Jennifer, we will have game cards.
And yeah, Steve, that is correct. Only 18 can dress for the match. The 4 extra are not allowed to be in any type of uniform.
All right. Let's see. We will provide lanyards. That's correct.
Carlos, to answer your question, so if they do have 20 on the roster, they can warm up, but by the start of the game, they will have to be dressed in outside uniform clothes.
Game link for U17.
45.
U17 should be 45-minute halves.
Yes.
Yes.
I think it breaks at the 15s. I think it's maybe where it breaks to 40.
So
If I'm not
15
mistaken.
and 16 are 40s, and then 17
Yep.
are 45s.
Yeah.
All coaches do have to be a check-in as well. Everybody who's going to be sitting on that sideline needs to be there for check-in.
And you do need to have at least one coach with the team at check-in.
Allison, so for 3 groups, we're still working on creating those in the back end. So the winners for each group are going to advance to knockouts, and then we are going to have a wild card that's going to fill that 4th spot, and that will be decided by who has the most average points taken from each game. If there's a tie from that, then it will be goal differential. We will not have benches or tents set up, so you will need to bring those.
Maximum roster for U12s is 16 players.
Amanda, this is being recorded, and so we're going to send this out afterwards.
Yes, Callie, it can be a team manager. Anyone that is credentialed within their roster is allowed to be with the team at check-in. Typically, that's only a manager or head coach, as well as the assistant coach that are associated with the team.
Alright.
7:40.
One last call for questions. Again, President's Cup at AZU Soccer is going to be good for us. We're pretty quick at responding there. So get those emails. Are there any questions that didn't get answered, haven't come in yet? Then Emily, thank you for sending the email in right there. Again, we're super excited to have a great month of President's Cup games, and we're excited to see some great soccer games. And the President's Cup TV. Oh. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, so if you win President's Cup, you will head to regionals. That is the perk of winning President's Cup. It does not necessarily affect your division as far as standings in league play. I'm not sure exactly what you're referencing. But yeah, so if you do win President's Cup, you, depending on what age group, you will be heading to regionals. And yes, lanyards will be provided by ASA.
All right, everyone. Hope you all have a great night, and we will see everyone on Friday or Saturday. Thanks all.
Have a good evening.